Hello everyone. In today's Computer Networks Lab program, we'll discuss program 9. It's nothing but using TCP IP sockets, write a client server program to make the client send the file name and to make the server send back the content of the requested file if present. Whenever we were discussing about program 10, we have already discussed that there are two types of sockets for transport services. First one is datagram sockets. It's nothing but it is actually for UDP. UDP means user datagram protocol, and the second protocol is a transmission control protocol. It's a TCP and first one is UDP. So whenever we were discussing about UDP socket programming, we have also discussed about the basic network concepts like sockets, what are sockets, and then why do we use that, and what is a process, and what are ports, port numbers, IP address. All those basic concepts we have discussed it in program 10. The same thing applies even here. Please refer to those recordings for the more details. In today's class we will discuss more about the TCP. We will stick on to it only. So now let us see what is transmission control protocol, how does it work, how do we do the socket programming in that. Socket programming with TCP. So client must contact server. So here client is the one which is going to contact the server, of course. So server process must first be running. So whenever you are executing the program, you should first start the server. You should execute the server side of the program first. So server must have created socket that welcomes client's contact. Server must have a socket. Okay, it is like server side's main socket. We can also, just for analogy, you can consider that as a receptionist kind of. Okay, so it welcomes all the client's contacts. So you should have that contact socket ready. Client's contact server by. So how does the client contact the server? It contacts the server by creating TCP sockets, specifying IP address, port number of the server process. So whenever the client wants to connect to the server, it will actually create a socket by giving server's IP address and then the server's port number, whichever port is free. Okay, so when client creates the socket, client TCP establishes connection to server TCP. So whenever client creates the socket, what happens? Client's TCP connection actually establishes that this is connection oriented. Okay, TCP is actually connection oriented. So when contacted by client, server TCP creates new sockets. So whenever, see, we saw that, right? Initially it will have one single server socket to welcome each and every client, that is like a receptionist. So after that, whenever the client comes and contacts server, for per client, server will create a dedicated socket. Okay, so when contacted by client, server TCP creates new socket for server process, okay, to communicate with that particular client, and it allows server to talk with multiple clients. So source port numbers used to distinguish clients. So each client, server will use different port numbers. If for example, if 10 clients are contacting the server, it will create 10 separate clients sockets on server side with 10 different port numbers. Okay, so from application point of view, so TCP actually provides reliable in-order byte stream transfer. It's like a pipe. Whatever you send, it will be going in a pipe, right? The same way you can imagine here between client and the server. Let us see the steps one by one. Server is here and we have the client. Yes, first we create this socket. Okay, on the server side, it is server socket. We have created it. Waiting for incoming connection requests. We are waiting for the incoming connection requests. Yes, client side also one socket has been created and it is connected to the host ID. See, one difference between TCP and UDP here is, in TCP we have a connection. That means while creating the socket itself, we give the server's IP address and then the port number. Whereas in UDP, we used to give the IP address as well as the port number in the packets. Here we do not mention any such things in the packet. Okay, so TCP connection has been set up. Next, send request using client socket. Okay, so here TCP connection has been set up, so that means we have a pipe connected between server and client. So then we actually send request using client socket. So then actually from server side what happens, read request from connection socket. So we are reading the connection request from the connection socket, then write to connection socket. So here whatever information, maybe here we have given the file name, it to server will search for that file and it will read the content and it will send it to client. So okay, it has read reply from client socket, then it is closing the client socket. This side we are closing the server socket. Clear? So this is all about the TCP. Let us see how to write the code for the same. Now let us see how to write the client side of the TCP connection. Let us see how to write the program line by line. So first we are importing two packages that we need. The first one is java.net.star. It actually provides the classes for implementing all the network applications. Could be, for example, creating the socket and all those things. Okay, so next we have import java.io.star. That means I am importing all the packages of IO. So it actually provides all classes of IO package actually. Okay, so we are actually importing all the classes of IO package. So these two lines done, and here I am starting the Java class TCPC. So you should save this file with the same name. You can see that here, right? Otherwise it will not run. So Java public class TCPC. So next I am starting the public static void main string args throws exception. Here I am starting the main, and again this one is actually throwing the exception. We have seen that, right? What it does here, what does it throws exception means along with the void main? That means main method is actually not catching any exception. Instead of it, it actually handles the IO exception by throwing it to the source, okay, which invokes the main method. Basically you are actually throwing the exception if you want it to be handled, okay, if you want it to be handled by the higher function, or what do you call it as calling function. So basically you are not handling it, you are actually throwing it to the higher function. That's why throws exception we have added it here. Okay, next line. What am I doing here? Here I am actually creating the socket. Okay, so here is the line socket is equal to new socket, and I am giving an IP address and then the port number here. So here I am actually creating the client side of the TCP socket. Okay, I am creating the socket here, TCP socket. See, do you remember on UDP whenever we were creating, we didn't mention these details when we were creating the datagram socket. Why? There we did not have the connection actually, right? Only the packets used to have the information of the IP address and then the port number. But here that is not the case. Whenever we are creating the socket itself, we should actually put the IP address and then the port number. So which IP address is this actually? So on almost all networking systems, okay, so local host, whatever local host you are using, okay, it uses the IP address of 127.0.01. It means like most commonly, this is actually the most commonly used IPv4 loopback address. So this one I can use for both client and host when I am running it on my system, and both I am both client and server. If I am running it on my system, I can use this one. Okay, it is actually reserved for this purpose. Even I can use this program without any error, and with the same IP address you can also run it on your system. So why do I need this port number? Of course, when I have this one on client, when I have my IP address, of course I know which system to connect, but I should know which process I need to communicate to also, right? So that's why I need to identify unique process on server side, we use the port number as well along with the IP address. So what are the port numbers that I can use? See, from 0 to 65,535. That means 0 to 65535. I have those many port numbers. In that, 0 to 1023. That means first 1 KB ports are already reserved. Okay. Beyond 1023, you have to choose any port which is actually free. So few of your applications are actually using some ports by default. For example, if you have your MySQL installed, it will have 3306 as the port number, and if you have the Tomcat, it will have 8080 as your port number. Okay, so you have to do some trial and error and get the port number. Generally for me this 4000 worked. Okay, so this is my client socket. There is one more point. See, on client side we have already seen that, right? I have only one socket per client. I mean, anyway, this is the client, so I have only one socket, whereas on the server side we will have one server side socket. I mean, that is one welcoming socket, one master socket kind of, which will actually first interacts to all. It's like a receptionist. Okay, it interacts to all, and then later on for each client it will create one dedicated socket. Anyway, that's on server side. Let's come back here. So here I am creating the client side socket. So this is my IP address and this is my port number. Now it's clear, right? Next, system.out.println, enter the file name. I'm asking the user to enter the file name here. Okay, user entered the file name. Then what am I doing? I'm doing buffer reader. I'm actually doing the buffered reader. So I'm actually storing that in key read, new buffered read, new input stream reader in that system.in. Okay, here let's go step by step. What is this system.in? Actually, this is basically I am reading the file name, whatever the user is entering. Okay, here what I am doing is, in this one, like I'll ask user to enter a file name. Okay, I will actually, user will enter some file name. I'll send that file name to my server. Okay, what my server should do, it should actually search for that file and then it will send me the content of the file. The server should send back the content of the file to the client. That is the program we are working on. So here, this system.in is nothing but actually we are specifying that it takes the input from the keyboard. Okay, whatever user is entering, so that input it should take. What is this input stream reader? Input stream reader is actually, it will convert whatever user is entering into stream. Okay, and finally that stream gets into the buffer. So that's what buffered reader is. Whatever user is entering it through the keyword, it will be it will be read and converted it into stream. Finally that stream actually goes into the buffer. Okay, that is all about this buffered reader. Next what I have string fname is equal to keyread dot read line. So what am I doing here actually? So this read line, right, it actually gives the string values. So I'm copying whatever file name that I have read into buffer, right? I'm copying that file name from buffer into, I'm copying that file name from the buffer into fname. Fname is my variable of type string. So I'm copying whatever I have read and kept it in by buffer reader into file name, fname. Okay, now I have my file name in the fname variable. Next, output stream is equal to stock.get output stream. Actually, I have two different stuff. Okay, one is get output stream, the other one is get input stream. Get output stream as well as the input stream. So you can see that here, right? One is get input stream and here I am looking into get output stream. What are these get input and get output? See, in Java, actually to send data via sockets, okay, you get an output stream. So whenever you are sending some data out of the socket, then you use get output stream. Okay, and whenever you are receiving some data from socket, you use get input stream. These are the streams. Okay, output stream and input stream. Okay, basically you are here, you are outputting some data. So to read data from the socket, you get the input stream, okay, and read from this second stream. So you can actually, what is this stream? If you still don't get any idea, right, you can actually think of this stream as a pair of one-way pipes connected. We call that, right, TCP is nothing but connecting pipes from client to server. This is exactly the same. You can actually think this as this stream as a pair of one-way pipes connected to a socket on the wall. Okay, so this is one way output and this is another way from the other side. That means including these two, it becomes a two-way connection. Okay, it is that one. And next what do we have? Print writer, PWrite is equal to new print writer OS stream true. Okay, so what does it mean actually? Actually, it enables you to write the formatted data to an underlying writer. It actually enables you to, it lets you write the formatted data, whatever I have here, into the underlying writer. And next, PWrite.println fname. Actually, we are here exactly we are doing that sending function. We are actually sending this file number to the server. So by executing this line, it's like we have sent the file name to the server. Okay. So next, so what happens on the server side? It receives this file name, it will search for that file, and then if it finds that, then it will read the content of that file and send it back. Then I need some input stream also. Here through get output stream I send the data, and here through get input stream I am reading the data whichever is going to be sent by the server. So input stream, iStream is equal to sock.get input stream. Okay, so here it's actually reading sockets input port. Okay, I'm actually reading it from the input. So again here I have a buffered reader. So here also I had one buffered reader. Here I was reading it from the keyboard, whereas here iStream, same buffer reader, but here I am reading it from the iStream. So and I'm storing it in the socket read buffer. Okay, socket read. Whatever I have read from the socket, I am storing it here. So iStream is nothing but actually reading sockets input port. So whatever you are getting in the sockets input port, I am actually reading that one. That's what this iStream means. Okay, here system.in means this is a keyboard input. Here sockets, whatever you are getting in the input stream, I mean input in the socket, that you are reading it here. So that means you have read the content of the file and you have stored it in this socket read. Okay, and then you are declaring one string, and then while str is equal to socket read dot read line. So you are actually taking the content from here and then you are storing it in string. That means if you have received any content, then only you will enter into this while loop. If it is not null, that means you have received some content. That means your server has found your file. Then what are you doing? You are printing the file content on the client side. System.out.println string, whatever they have received, right? Socket read line, you are actually storing that in string, right? And you are printing the same thing. Okay. At the end, what are you doing? You are closing everything. All these things needs to be closed. So write close and then socket read dot close, key read dot close. You're closing everything and you're closing the class here with the flower braces. So this is actually about the client side socket programming of TCP. Now let us see the server side of it. So here is the server side of the TCP connection, that is TCPS. Okay, so socket programming for server. Again the same packages we are importing, we have already discussed these two packages during client, so I'm skipping that. And here my class is TCPS. You should save the file with the same name of the whatever you are giving for the class. So tcps.java is the file name. And next I'm coming for the void main, which actually throws exception. What is this throws exception? We have already discussed, so I'm skipping that. So we have already discussed during the client programming. Here So this is the first one I told you, right? So on client side, how many sockets we created? Only one, right? On server side, we have two different categories of sockets. The first one is, you can just imagine this like a receptionist in a hotel. Okay, so clients are coming. Who will actually engage them first? The receptionist, right? So that is what this server socket is. Server socket dot ser sock, that means for server sock I am giving this variable ser sock new server socket 4000. So you have to give this 4000 only. Why? Because whenever you are creating the client socket, you are addressing that to 4000 port number, right? So here also you should mention the same. Okay, so server socket is equal, so this is this first socket, server socket is actually like a receptionist which will actually talk to each and every client request that is coming to. Okay, so if it accepts, then what happens? It actually creates one more dedicated socket for that particular client. Okay, so if 10 clients are coming and contacting this server, all 10 will contact this server socket first, and later 10 different sockets, dedicated sockets for that client will be created. Got it? It's like a, if this is like a some hotel or yeah, some hotel, consider. Okay, this is a receptionist. For each client it will book a room. You can consider like that. Those rooms are nothing but one dedicated socket. Okay, just an analogy. Okay, fine. I have a server socket here. Next, system.out.println server ready for connection. As soon as I have the receptionist ready, that means server socket ready, I'll print that, okay, server ready for connection. So here, what is happening in socket? Sock is equal to server sock.accept. So here, for every client request, we create one socket. Okay, so this is what we are doing. Every client socket request you are accepting, that means you are creating one socket dedicated to that particular client. Okay, so of course, if your server socket is accepting any request, it will create a socket object. Then, okay, I have accepted the client's request because from client I have sent the request, right? So system.out.println connection is successful and waiting for chatting. That means yes, our connection is successful. We have created one more client side socket also. Client side socket means like on server only I just create one socket dedicated to that particular server. Input stream, okay, iStream is equal to sock.get input stream. I've already discussed, right? What is this get input stream during client programming? So that means I'm actually getting the data from the input stream of the port, right? Socket especially. So what am I getting this time from this socket? Because from client I have sent the file name. Do you remember? So here I get the file name here. I get the file name. And using buffer reader also we have discussed, right? Buffer reader, in buffer reader if I have iStream, what does it mean? It is actually reading it from the socket's input port, right? So it's reading from socket's input port, and what am I getting? Actually file name. I am storing it in this buffer and next line what am I doing? I just put whatever I have stored in the buffer into f name, right? I'm naming it as string, so I'll just put it in the string format to f name. Clear? So the same way, these lines already we have discussed in detail during client execution, right? So input stream, get input stream, that means like I'm getting bit from the, I have connected that pipe and then I am getting it from the input. So I am using this buffer reader. I put it in the buffer, and from that buffer I put the file name into this particular variable. Clear? Now I have my file name. Now I want to search and read the content of the file. So using this line, buffer reader content read new buffer reader new file reader f name. I am just giving this file name, okay, and reading the content of that file. So I just read the content of that file. Then what I need to do? I need to send it to client. So for sending it to client, what I need first? Get output stream, right? So output stream, O stream. I just put that into O stream. So socket dot get output stream. So I'll just put it, I'm just sending it out to client. So using the get output stream, I'm sending it to it, and also this print writer p-write new print writer o stream 2, whatever was there in this o stream, I have just sent it to the client, right? And I am also, if it is not null, I am actually printing that as well. So even on server side, I am just printing whatever the content I saw. So at the end, as usual, I am closing the socket which was opened for that particular client. At the end, I am closing the server socket as well, the receptionist, right? And then pwrite dot close, I'm writing the pwrite, and then file read, and then connect read. So why do I need to close all these things? Because it will just release all the allocated resources, right? So as an efficient programmer, you have to close all the things that you have opened. Okay, so yeah, this is about the server side of the program. Now let us see the execution of it. I have logged into Ubuntu. Let me open the terminal, new terminal. First I need to run the server socket. Okay, so let me write the server socket program. Gedit tcps. Okay, tcps.java, because I have given my class name as tcps only. Write in your program here, save and close the file. You can observe it, tcps is the class name. Let me compile it. Gedit tcps, let me compile it, javac tcps.java. So compilation successful. Then let me run it, java tcps. Yeah, server ready for connection. My server is up and server socket has been created now. So let us move on to the client side. Open a new terminal. Do not run it on the same terminal. Okay, now gedit tcpc. I am giving the file name as tcpc because that is my Java class name, tcpc.java. Write the program here, save it and close the file. You can observe that Java class name is tcpc. Now compile the program. Javac tcpc.java. Compilation successful. Let's run the program. Java tcpc. Yes, so enter the file name and observe on the client side, you're getting connection is successful and waiting for chatting. You got that message. That means connection is established. So client is asking to enter the file name. See, before that, I'll let me save one file name, one file in this system, so that I'll give the file same file name and I can verify whether it is giving me the right content. Okay. So it's asking for a file name. So before that, what I do, I'll save one file name. Let me open one more terminal for that, so that I can save a file. As I don't have any file, right? Okay, let me open any one file, new terminal. You can save any file. I'll just save it with an extension of .java only. So gedit sample. Okay, I'm giving the file as sample.java. So that is the file name. I'll just type any text. I'll just type hello everyone. Save and close this one. You should close the file, otherwise it will not give you the data, because open file it cannot read. Okay, you make sure you close that particular file that you have created. Yeah, let me give the same file name, sample.java, and press enter. Yes, welcome everyone. I could see that right on the server are actually sending the data. It has read and it has sent the data, and on my client side I can check hello everyone. Okay, so this is the execution point of it. Whatever sample.java file I have saved, so I sent it to my server, and from server I got the content of hello everyone. Okay, so yeah, this is all about the execution part of it. Thank you.